It just stings that a little bit more every single time you see the image of Oceania being painted over by the GPL squad.
Pour one out for the homies. That is still a rough moment, but it's great to be back. It's great to be in the final day. GPL, LJL, this should be an amazing day of League of Legends.
Certainly is. It's day number 4 Rift Rivals in the final day we have here today. I'm Matthew Fish-Stewart. Joining me is Jake Spontabir as well as Josh Jishkar Hummerson, and we're going to bring you guys through the grand final, which is going to be the GPL region taking on the LJL.
And you've done it. Once in 4 days, the third guest has been set up and absolutely knocked out of the park, Fish. That is an impressive moment.
I'll take the win. You don't look too happy about this for some reason. I got it right, Jish.
Yeah, I've just been staying quiet. I'm still waiting, for me to wake up from this dream and be like, all right, Sim Mineski, let's go, start a day 3. But yeah, it's not the case, is it?
Yeah, just wish we could go back in time and actually, have Sim pick up that game against USG, who we are going to get to see play in game number 1 today. Want to talk about the Oceanic region just quickly because, I think that a lot of people would be disappointed. But Sin played 5 games this tournament with a very young roster, and I think they have a lot to bring back, not to mention what Legacy was able to accomplish, as well as the fact that Direwolves knocked off, who looked to be one of the best teams in this tournament in Rampage. So I think every team should be happy. And moving forward, now we have a very exciting game of League of Legends, or 5 of them maybe today, Fish, another 5, between 2 very good regions. So this should be a good day.
Yeah, and let's take a look at how the regions got here. Up first, it was going to be OPL taking on the GPL, and that was last night's match. It was all 5 games, where after Sin picked up a very impressive 2-game win streak, they fell to Gigabyte Marines, who reverse swept the OPL and advanced into the grand finals, where they met or will be meeting the LGL team today, who are automatically seeded here after their incredibly impressive 5-1 performance in the group stage, only dropping a single game to the Direwolves.
Yeah, the LJL have looked so clean, and not even one team like we've seen from the side of Southeast Asia. Just across the board, they've actually had a lot of strong individual players, some really good team macro. They look like a very tough opponent today.
And the thing that you have to realize is I kind of lied to everyone at home when I said that Rampage got the early lead and didn't make mistakes. They made a couple of mistakes, but then they were good enough when the game went back to even to once again outmuscle the GPL's best team in the Gigabyte Marines and actually drive home a victory. And a lot of it was on the back end of Tussle, who, having rewatched those games, absolutely put on a clinic of pathing against Levi with good gank routes, and are really excited to see whether that does happen again today in Game 3, because if it does, we're going to have a 3-0 Fish. We will have the quickest day of Rift Rivals so far.
I mean, a lot of it was also on Levi, who just, decided to dash into the back of Baron by himself and get killed instantly. So, he's definitely going to be hungry for that rematch. But no, yeah, Rampage did look pretty, I guess, composed when they dropped an early lead, or they dropped their lead and they had to come back and fight for it. And, really, really impressive.
Well, let's take a look at the schedule today to show you guys how Spawn thinks this could be the quickest day possible. He is theoretically correct, because first up is going to be Unsold Stuff taking on Mineski. The Japanese team have already picked up a win in this matchup. Same with Detonation Focus Me, as well as Rampage taking on Ascension, as well as Gigabyte Marines, respectively. If we have not decided the series by then, we'll have another match between Rampage and Gigabyte Marines. And finally, Detonation Focus will take on Ascension again to decide the entire tournament if it comes down to 5 games.
And 2 of these 3 LJL squads are currently undefeated, and 2 of the 3 on the side of the GPL haven't picked up a win yet. And that is why this is such a scary format, because today, someone other than the Gigabyte Marines must win. Either has to be Mineski in one of the early games, or, maybe Ascension, who looked to take Sin to a 50-minute match, but at the moment, I just don't know where it is going to come from.
Yeah, no, they're going to have to pull out all the stops there if they want to grab a win over their respective counterparts from the LJL. And as you said, it's really going to have to be through their team fighting and their strong, aggressive early play that we've seen out of both Mineski and Ascension.
And which team are we really looking towards for the GPL to try and pick up that victory? Because we know Gigabyte Marines are a strong team. They'll still have a tough task against Rampage, because Rampage already taken them down before. But Mineski and Ascension, they have not looked good all tournament.
It has to be Ascension. Mineski, to be fair, have looked like hot garbage all tournament. Particularly Hammers. I think he's had a very, very disappointing tournament. Even when he got a nice early lead on Elise, he just threw his money away onto the Elise build, getting that early Void stuff. And they just have looked so sloppy around the Rift. And I think that Ascension showing signs of life across a couple players. G4 on the Corki, Lloyd on the Siva. They seem to be just on the cusp of finding, what could drag them over the line.
Completely agree. And they knew what their win condition was in that game. They thought they were going to fall behind, and then they just needed to drag it out. They needed that one team fight. They needed a couple of lucky ricochet crits into the back line to really set up what could have been a big team fight victory. And credit to them, they nearly were able to pull it out against what was a 6-item and all like damage item Caitlyn as well. So it was so close for Ascension yesterday. I think that they're certainly looking to be the better of the, lesser evils of the GPL at the moment, with the prime evil being the good old Gigabyte Marines waiting there for them. But we'll see whether they can actually get it done, because USG, Detonation Focus Me, they just looked absolutely amazing on day 1 and day 2, and I don't know whether that's going to be an easy task.
And something we've always talked about is the fact that these 3 LGL teams, they're so close in the standings, and in fact, currently in the LGL, Detonation Focus Me undefeated. They were able to take down Rampage and Unsold Stuff, so that task for Ascension becomes much harder as well. But for now, let's take a look at the first match of today. It's going to be Unsold Stuff Gaming, the 3rd seed from the LGL, taking on the 3rd seed from the GPL, Mineski.
Yeah, and this is a really big game for Mineski, because you feel like they need to come out and have a good showing at least. Even if they don't pick up the win, they need to set the tempo for the GPL region from the get-go and show that, they are actually here to play today, because they only get 1 crack at this. And if they do get a win, that is huge as far as momentum goes. That means all of a sudden Rampage must beat Marines again for the LJL to have a shot. However, with people running around Summoner's Rift like Neo, like Remind, who were able to pick up very good early games last time these teams faced, I am just not sure it is going to work.
Yeah, I'm super skeptical of Mineski's hopes, but I want to give credit to their drafting. I was going back over their drafts and stuff, and I think a lot of them are quite sensible. They have some really good picks and shown a lot of variety across their talent. So if they have any shot at victory today, it's going to be off a good draft, and they're going to have to set themselves up for an early lead.
And they didn't get one of them last time they played against USG. And main area that I was questioning was the fact that they locked in the Jarvan jungle that lost a lot of tempo and didn't really have all that much to do. Was that actually this game?
Yes, it was. It was because Unsold Stuff Gaming are the ones that pulled out Warwick twice so far as well.
Exactly right. So we'll see whether it works out again. Because Jarvan was last picked. I thought they should have thrown Gragas into the jungle and Jarvan into the top lane. Obviously, try to hide the matchup against the Shen, because Shen does kind of shut that down a little bit, but Gragas didn't end up doing all that much top either. So it was a little bit of a strange game to me, and it lost them a lot of advantages early, I think.
Well, let's take a look at the 2 lineups for these teams. Up first, I believe it's going to be USG, although they have chosen red side of Rift, and we are right. Unsold Stuff Gaming will be taking to the red side for game number 1. Upperman in the top lane with Neo, the Warwick jungler for their squad. Remind in the mid lane, Harechi as their AD carry, and NT as their support. They'll be going up against Mineski, who are fielding Kaidu in the top lane, James in the jungle, EXO returning to the mid lane with Zen and TG as the AD carry and support.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to seeing, the Unsold Stuff roster get back into team fights. I think Remind had some pretty impressive performances on his mage picks. And I also want to see, what does Neo pull out here? Does he go for his 3rd Warwick game? Yep. Does he show us, maybe, something standard? But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and I think the other big thing is, even though the draft was okay, the Talia still died at level 4 last time this happened. And there was a couple of little strange things. I mean, we also saw TG pick up Exhaust on Zyra, and the reason Egypt didn't like it was not because of loss of pressure or stuff like that. It's just if you're in range of going to the exhaust the Syndra, you're probably going to die regardless of whether you have the summoner spell or not. So it's just a little bit the draft was okay if they had win conditions to play towards, but they kind of threw a little bit of a way through early tempo, maybe incorrect summoner spells, and it was a strange game honestly to watch, because we had James camp a brush for 2 levels of Warwick farm. I mean, not much of that first game made all that much sense for Mineski, and it's a good one to just throw out the window and take it again.
And you've touched on the Warwick pick. We've seen Unsold Stuff pick it up twice so far, and they are one of the 2 Japanese teams that have thrown very unorthodox picks into the meta. Are we going to see the same thing from this time around? Do we expect something similar, or will they go towards the Rampage style, which is a lot more standard?
I mean, if it's not broken, do they have to fix it? I think they've shown absolutely nothing this tournament. Even Harechi's only played Varus, so obviously very, very blind. So we don't know the depths of their champion pools and what they want to bring out here. Obviously, the LJL teams are all working together a little bit. And want to support each other. So maybe we see a different strategy, or maybe they just go the tried and true method.
And the big thing for me is I believe that Mineski is starting on the red side of Summoner's Rift.
They're starting blue side.
They are starting. All right, cool. So that does give them some flexibility if they do want to ban away Warwick. Because if you're starting on the other side of Summoner's Rift, Warwick or Zac, what do you want to give away? Or do you want to give a top lane or mid lane a Galio? So it doesn't make all that much sense. At the same time, the thing that the Warwick did against Sin, not against Mineski, was create some havoc by them not being able to gauge how much damage you could take early. If you cast your mind back to that top lane gank, you know, where Dockler and Juves looked like they were baiting, they wanted to go in. They turn all this damage onto a Warwick that has an E active, and with something like 35–40% damage reduction at that stage of the game, was just able to weather the whole storm and turn around a gank. So I think that if you haven't played against it, if you're not used to it, you should at least give it a respect ban, because you don't want to lose another game to a cheese.
And the other thing is, we've seen, Neo, I guess, maybe doesn't like the Elise. They've banned it both games so far. They've banned the Galio both games. So there's probably even more flexibility on the side of Mineski to leave some of these OP champions up and ban specific things away.
Which is curious because the LGL squad had the option to pick their side, and they chose red side coming to this one. Could this be because they want to ban out the Galio and Elise so they don't have to play it, so to speak?
I mean, that makes sense. It also could be the fact that they know that they're going to get specific target bans, which will leave a broader pool of, OP or high-tier champions up and available, which means that they will also be able to grab 2 on the first round. It also gives you double counter pick. And what I mean by that is the first time you get your broad counter pick where you can ban away the counters, and then you get your hard counter pick with the last pick of the draft, which is where, save your top lane, save your mid lane, and lock in the real hard lane matchup that you want to go towards. So I actually think red side at the moment, and this is why we were struggling with the blue side having such a high win rate, in the draft gives you a lot of options to be able to go towards.
Yeah, especially in the current meta, most champions seem to have like 1 or 2 answers, which is getting like just hard shut down on that first the 1 to 3 pick and then the double ban. And then, as well, most top laners too are having like the very specific counters. So we've seen like the Jackson to Camille and now Gnar into Renekton and things like that. So I do expect that, they will be looking for these hard counters.
And even though we haven't seen a great performance out of Kaigu and EXO, when we came into this tournament, we did expect pretty good things from them. I mean, they're 2 of the better players on the Mineski squad. So I like taking red side just to deny that away from the solo laners, because they haven't had good performances so far. But 2 games of League of Legends or 3 games of League of Legends isn't all that much to write home about. And you do have to continue to respect form, because eventually, if they are good players, that form will come back and they will have a good performance on Summoner's Rift.
Well, earlier tonight, Spawn, you said that this could be the fastest day possible.
Yep.
Is it going to be? What do you guys think? What are your predictions coming into this match and the entire run, I guess?
You can skip me all day. LJL will not drop a game. This will be the sweep. This will be LJL cementing themselves as the best region. Marines look good. Rampage look better. I believe in them.
You know what? The 2 teams, or the 2 regions, are the GPL and the LJL. And because I'm the Oceanic coach and caster, I'm going for the LJL. So regardless of who should win, I hope Japan wins.
Well, there you go, guys. They're the predictions from our 2 analysts on the desk. Both of them going towards the LGL. And speaking of the LGL, we haven't heard from them in a while because they did get seeded directly into the grand finals. So let's hear their thoughts once again on Rift Rivals.
LJL とは日本のトッププロが集まった、そして、集団戦の得意な人たちが集まったリーグだと思います。20分以降の中断戦というのが大きな魅力になっている、そういったリーグになっていると思いますね。
ランページに関しては AD キャリーを主軸に置いた、チームファイトを重きにしているチームかなと。
そこにエビがテレポートが速いのはこれはエビの方。ただしリマインドの2マンスタンからアパメンが入ってくるがボリボーフ。大荒れしか打てない間にラブネがショックウェーブ。2マン切れている。その間にダメージを出している。
アンソルドスタッフゲーミングについては一言で言うならユニークなチーム。僕らが見ていても今週は一体何をやるんだっていうのがわからないチーム。ただミッドのリマインドがキャリーするだろうなっていうのはいつも変わらず感じることですね。
ここはアーチェモンはフラッシュを使用しました。そしてなんとウォールにはまっているスタンからショックウェーブ2、4人に当たりましたが一気にダブルキルリマインド。
フォーカスミーの特徴はジャングラーとそしてサポートに韓国人のプレイヤーがいるので、彼らを生かした視界のコントロールであったり、中盤以降のマクロの動きというのが大きな強みだと思いますね。
まだ前に行く。いや最後はブルーザイユタボンがダブルキル。そして逃げ道を封鎖しているのはスティール。さあそこにパズが合流。アルティメットを展開してスタンからのフック。さらには魂の牢獄でだ。トリプルキルはユタボン。
今回ランページではラムネ選手に注目してます。今年の MSI のスーパーマッシブ戦で見せたように非常にいいポテンシャルを秘めている MSI を経て国際戦を経た後の今このタイミングでだからこそ出せる一皮むけたというか強みを見せることができればミッドレーナーとして一つ格を上げれるそういうチャンスなんじゃないかなというところで彼に注目しています。
セロスです。今年のセロスに関して言うのであればプレイスタイルをかなり変えています。ジャングラーとの連動っていう部分がかなり本人の中で意識をしているので何よりも日本のミッドレーナーの工程が返ってきたというのを彼が証明してくれると思います。
USG のエンティ選手に注目してほしいんですが、理由としては日本人の中でずば抜けた個人技を持っていますし、アグレッシブな彼のプレーというのは大きな魅力になっていると思うので、彼のプレーには注目してもらいたいですね。
このリフトライバルって本当にいいチャンスだと思います。本当に強いチームが育っているんだぞっていうのを世界に示してほしい。
LJL のリーグの強さというのが見せられるかなと。
ランページは集団戦だし、フォーカスミはマクロの動きだし、 USG は序盤のレーンフェーズの強さ、十分世界と戦えるポテンシャルを持っていると思いますね。
And every single international event, a lot of pundits, a lot of analysts are saying this is time for the Japanese team to shine, and they normally don't stand up and deliver. This time we hear it straight from the LGL casters. They expect Japan to show what they're made of at this tournament. They have so far. Question is now, can they go to distance and actually win the entire damn thing? They're going up against the GPL. RIPOs is still on the wall there. It's tilting me a little bit, but we're into Champion Select for game number 1 between Mineski and Unsold Stuff Gaming.
Yeah, and already diving in, I mean, heavy jungle bans headed towards Neo, which is so strange because all he's shown so far is the Warwick.
Yeah, and I think that maybe Mineski actually have just done a little bit further scouting and know some of his comfort picks, know some of the things he's likely to play, and want to push him back to that Warwick. Maybe there's a specific strategy around it. Maybe they think it's terrible. I guess we'll see. But as we sort of mentioned, these sort of very standard bans, and that is a very specific strategy around it, I guess. They take it off him.
Yeah, so they ban out 2 junglers and take Warwick and say, what else do you play Neo? Hummus should be taking that into the jungle.
I mean, they banned 3, like the Gragas too.
Yeah,
Flex
Gragas
top,
as well.
Yeah.
And standard red side bans from Unsold Stuff. They should be able to pick up Caitlyn, possibly Thresh here as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, they've taken it away, but what do they give up in response?
Hello. Already, this is really unorthodox from both teams. Ivan being picked up over many other heavy priorities at the moment. I mean, Tom Kench comes to mind. That was the champion that Gigabyte Marines heavily prioritized, even though Thresh was banned out multiple times.
I will say, however, that was against the Oceanic teams, and I will be surprised if we see such a heavy priority placed on Tom Kench again, especially with how well the LJL squads have been laning. I think that it does have a fantastic late game, but it should be punishable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that especially when you're already running the front line in Ivan, they might be looking to get something a little bit more aggressive for their laning. The Karma, pretty good. The Lulu, not too bad either. I think it's interesting that we're seeing Mineski take both of their solo laners so early in the draft.
Yeah, they picked up both the Kennen as well as Syndra, and Renekton gets locked in for Unsold Stuff. That doesn't have a great time against Kennen.
Is it going to be the Kennen top lane? Is that definitely a blind top lane?
I guess we could very well see it flexed to Zen.
Yep.
And then, I don't know, I guess that it probably, if I'm Kaigu right now, I want to take the Kennen myself, regardless of whether Zen picked it. Yeah, I think it does have a pretty good matchup into the Renekton. Bullies him early just due to the range, can stay out of, stun range and engage threat.
Unsold Stuff seem to think the same way as well because they're banning out 80 carries. First ban is going to be Ashe. Thresh somehow hits the bench in the second ban rotation. I never thought I'd see that. Varus is going to be the second ban coming out from Unsold Stuff. Final ban for Mineski. Let's see what they decide to target. They've got to go for a mid lane or support, and they hit both best of both worlds as they take away Karma.
Yeah, we've seen both of these supports actually, TG and NT, both play Blitzcrank, I believe, and often look for that counter matchup. So, maybe both not being too comfortable to take that early blind Thresh, and as well, I guess seeing now maybe Unsold Stuff, save that 5th pick for their support player.
They might be able to get a very powerful pick, which would be the Corki for a Mind in the mid lane. So both their solo lanes have been shown. So Enti saving his support pick for last. We saw the LGL customer talking a lot how he's a very aggressive support. Let's see what they pull out. And another Bard being picked up in this Rift Rivals.
Yeah, Bard Nunu is actually locked in. That is a top lane Warwick, and that is an 80 carry cannon. A lot of cheese coming out right now.
What the heck have you been doing the past 3 days, Mineski? Where did this come from?
And it's so funny. I was saying earlier to Jish, as Blitzcrank also locked in, who cares? I was saying earlier to Jish, I want a one-trick Warwick, but I only do that if I can play it in multiple roles. Can I play Warwick top lane? He was like, no, you cannot play it top lane. It is not a good top laner. Well, apparently Kaigu didn't get that memo.
Oh, you never know.
Because I am quite confident that that is going to be a top lane Warwick, or a top lane Nunu, which not all that great.
Oh. Considering you and I often duo queue together, you're not allowed to play either of them top lane. But we do see that the Warwick is taken top, and I kind of wonder, How does that do into Renekton?
I never thought I'd hear the day as well where my color caster just turns to me and says, never mind about this Blitzcrank last pick, you know, that's irrelevant. Let's take a look at the other squad, which has more interesting picks.
Yeah, we've actually been treated with a handful of Blitzcranks, you know, internationally before Rift Rivals, but even here specifically, we're seeing, you know, a lot of support players backing themselves to hit that massive queue, and, you know, it's pretty exciting. He always makes for, you know, generally a quite bloodthirsty game.
Certainly does, and it seems like these two teams are out for blood. There's interesting picks across the board. Unsold Suffer picked up the Ivan, which has been nerfed heavily and kind of shifted him out of the current meta. It's picked up as a niche jungler from time to time.
Yeah, maybe an homage to Carbon, you know, despite going home last night in the King of the Rift format. Definitely a Nunu and an Ivern enthusiast, so two of his favorite champions hitting the Rift. He'll probably be a little bit jealous he doesn't get to play those ones.
And these two Cs, because they're the third seed in both teams, only get to play one game.
Exactly right. And the big thing for me is Ivan was nerfed in a way that like health was getting lower in the clears and it was becoming riskier as he was getting squishy to be able to invade. Against the Nunu, I mean, unless you're really going to run AD, you don't have all that much kill threat. You just have an annoyance threat.
Yeah, and typically we see things like the Graves or the Nidalee picked into it, and they can hard punish, you know, the low health, and they farm much faster. Whereas, you know, Nunu, you know, typically not that punishing champion, plays a very similar style in terms of control and warding, and maybe less ganking.
Well, we'll have to see how this one pays off because the two most annoying junglers in the game are about to face off against one another. We didn't quite see if it was going to be Nunu jungle, but we expect it to be.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be. And the big thing for me is they're annoying in different ways. Nunu is actually an annoying playstyle, where Ivan is just an annoying looking thing. Like whatever he is, he's just infuriating to look at.
And it is going to be a Nunu in the jungle. So Kaigu has picked up Warwick in the top lane up against a Renekton.
I mean, Warwick's always been a mana-hungry champion. So I wonder how they're actually going to try and capitalize on that against a resourceless Renekton. Also want to point out that Remind has Exhaust. So he has legitimate kill threat in this lane. You can see that EXO respects that by taking it in response.
Yeah, interesting, I guess, you know, maybe the slow evolution of the matchup, realizing that if the Corki is the only person to take Exhaust here, that you know, he definitely gains the advantage, as we saw.
How did EXO get level 2 on first wave?
So he's taken maybe a small Raptor?
Yeah, a small Raptor, not actually started there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a small Raptor, so should be an
Experience
experience quit. Maybe looking for the level 6 all-in, faster than the Corki, I guess. Antidote going very aggressive in the bottom lane. They do hit level 2 first, hooks back TG, already puts down a trap, Ignite is ticking, he sidesteps it, still takes a lot of damage for his troubles.
By the way, AD Kennen doesn't beat Caitlyn, so I don't understand why the Kennen was picked into it. Maybe it was going to be that flex, and at the last second they realized that the jungle was being hit quite hard. But Kennen has very small range and needs repetitive attacks to be able to take that chip damage, and that's exactly how Caitlyn wants to play the lane regardless.
Strange thing for me is even though they knew the jungle was being hit quite hard, they already locked in Warwick. Maybe Hummer doesn't play the champion?
Yeah, potentially. Now Blitzcrank's mid.
Oh, he's going to get snowball after snowball here. Anti looking for the knock-up. EXO did take a lot of harass from Remind.
Got exhausted.
Yeah, no, just going to comment on that too. The early exhaust from Remind in that lane means that I think there is a little bit more stability now for EXO as he's going to chug through both these potions. He doesn't have to be as worried about that kill threat so early.
Kaigu top side of the map up against Upperman. Farming all right at the moment. Has already chugged through his single health potion. Looking to try and regenerate wherever he can, but Renekton has decent sustain to kick things off. Warwick should start to take over later.
Has fervor. And with Warwick, especially given the fact that you have the so much healing in your kit, you want to go into the last tree. I'm trying to remember as I'm speaking, that's why I'm stuttering a little bit.
Grasp of the Undying?
No, don't want Grasp at all. He's got fervor, Fish. The one that gives you 16% extra health and healing.
Oh yeah, that mastery, I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry, can't help you out.
Yeah,
It's the green hands.
Tier 3. Anyway, you want to go that. So what I was saying is he probably hasn't been able to pick up meditation for his mana issues. He's still fairly got a lot of mana up there, but he's actually just gone back. So we'll see how this goes, because Renekton has two ways of bullying you. He is actually a big threat, but he also has sustain in his kit, which is kind of hidden, as well as the fact that he doesn't have a mana bar, so he can spam abilities, whilst Kaigu cannot.
Kaigu, though, going for a trade against Mineski right there. Just 2 procs at the Q. He's back up to close to full. Hummer's trying to gank Remind in the mid lane. Throws out a snowball. Claps him a couple of times with the red buff. Going to take a turret shot as well. Doesn't mind.
Yeah, just bailing EXO a little bit out of pressure there. You know, getting heavily chunked again. And most importantly, blowing that Valkyrie from Remind just takes out so much mana, that he has to normally expend, on his harass. So, pretty good little game from James.
Yeah, I like it. It also means that if he wants to now, the Syndra can get a cheeky shopping because the lane will push back towards it. So that's just a pressure gank coming out of James. That's all you can really offer at this stage of the game as a Nunu. Other thing you can offer is good neutral control, and a Fire Drake at this stage of the game would be pretty nifty, but it's doing some damage.
He's trying his hardest. He will slap away. Let's see if James can pick up the Infernal Drake here. Oh, those attacks are hurting. Calls over TG for some help. He'll have to tank this one up.
That's really smart because all of a sudden they're doing it on the back timing at 5 minutes. It normally comes out of Caitlyn, so that's really good awareness. Neo also been spotted out mid lane, so they don't get anything in response here at USG. Bit of a tempo advantage, but apart from that, nothing.
Big play from the LGL squad. That Fire Dragon will come in handy later on in the match, especially for Caitlyn and Corki.
Also, Cannon's winning bottom lane by 6 CS.
Yet to base.
And
so
I didn't expect to see this.
Yeah, there you go. You have to go back to base. As Jish mentioned, he's about 100 gold up, which you'd assume Caitlyn will match once she clears out this big minion wave that's been set up.
I mean, I wonder if they can punish the lack of a back here, because you can see they're camping in the brush. It's going to be hard to push the cannon creep straight into the turret. Minion wave already coming down here. It's either going to be a freeze or I feel a little bit of a gank.
Oh, NT will find one of them. Hooks back TG, gets good damage down. Trap has been put down and they get the headshot from the 90 caliber. Now Zen's the one that's in trouble as well. Does have flash already used. Heal, Harechi and NT can't chase further forward.
yeah, just a little bit interesting. We see another gank coming out top lane.
Yeah, Kaigo gets stunned straight into a root. He's forced to flash. The brush comes out. Upperman chasing him down and spins right round for another kill. Even Remind gets in amongst the action in the mid lane, trying to trade aggressively against Syndra.
Actually does trade aggressively, gets the exhaust out himself, as well as the fact that ulti is gone. Now that he has rocket spam, he actually should be in a good position to punish this lane. It's why I like Corki so much at the moment. Top lane, that was a great game. Ooh,
NT looking for the stun. Will get locked down by EXO. Does he still go? No, backs off. Already at half health.
I mean, that just means that EXO can no longer catch that wave. So still denies. Oh, he's staying around. That's a greedy, greedy man. Flash on his head. Just punch him.
I don't think that'll perturb Remind too much. He's still going to get the better base timing now. And he gets a very important item. So the Syndra into Corki matchup, is generally pretty good because of those trading patterns we've also mentioned. But one of the best things is he just gets by that early Hex Drinker, which nullifies so much of the damage that EXO is looking to bring out.
Wonder if that means EXO goes another Lost Chapters into, I call it Burning Face. What's it actually called?
Leandri's Torment?
Leandri's Torment. Before upgrading Morel and Omicron. One of the things that Syndra has to have generally is either shove or kill threat. And now that Corki has Hexdrinker, I don't know whether she has either in the matchup. You can also just turn it into a farm battle and see how late you can take it. Ooh.
Goes back to base, picks up Sock Boots, a ring as well as an amplifying tome. So just a bit of everything at the moment.
Yeah, so looking for one, the penetration into the flat resists that Remind's getting from the Hex Drinker, but also just that little bit of extra movement speed is actually quite nice into the skill shots of Corki. Yep. If you can dodge that Q in a trade, it can be the difference between, chugging that extra potion or winning the trade sort of thing. So, not terrible.
Not to mention, Ivan's gank path is walk at you, drop a brush, and try and auto-attack you with red buff. So, movement speed going to be quite good there. We'll see whether he gets it done here.
I'll remind Valks on his head. EXO going to take a ton of damage. Neo looking for the root, predicts the juke. Juke does not happen. Hummers shows up, looking to throw a couple of snowballs at this Corki. Bard's coming down here as well. Absolute Zero being channeled inside the brush, created by Bard. They're looking for more, trying to stun him up with TG. Why are you taking so many turret shots? Remind trying to come back into the fight with next to no health. Hummer's forced to run. NT still looking for these aggressive hooks, and LGL come out on top.
NT is a monster on Blitzcrank. Time and time again, he's just able to pluck the right person, gets another kill for his team. Hits the NOS, burns out of there, even puts some pressure on. Very good Blitzcrank play. You have to wonder why it wasn't addressed.
I mean, it wasn't addressed in the draft because you said it's not interesting and we moved on, but definitely.
Thank you for being here, Jish. I really appreciate you on this. That's
definitely a very exciting pick. And we sort of mentioned, in his first appearance on Blitzcrank that he looked pretty clean and, he didn't have any, maybe, I guess, game-changing hooks, but he had a lot of solid ones and he definitely showed confidence on the champion. And you have to wonder, is TG blind picking Bard the most sensible decision in his best-of-1 format?
Yeah, definitely do not think it is. Bard has been, for the longest time, completely ignored in professional play around the world. Just because his laning got hit so hard, and that's what you used to really be able to do with him, is bully out lanes. It's Still has good late game impact, but just at this stage of the game doesn't really do that much. 80 Cannon also falling off unless your name is Reckless down in the 80 carry position because he has so many range issues against people like Jin, people like Caitlyn.
I'm just curious as to what Mineski were trying to do with this draft because it's not just one unorthodox picks, it's 4 of them. There's Warwick top lane. I mean, Nunu's the least unorthodox of them all. We only really see one person play it.
So we said that when you have one game, you want to make it count. The other thing that happens when you have one game is you can actually just walk in with a Gouda and, you know, get a quick, easy win and see if you can go from there. So maybe a little bit of the latter.
Yeah, I want to take back my words about saying they had some nice champion variety and they look to put together some nice drafts because this is the most confusing draft I think I've ever seen coming out of, you know, a professional team.
Well, let's see what Mineski trying to make of it. It is very confusing yet interesting. There's a bar temper fake being threw down. Gets Horechi. He's going to get locked down by Zenzo that jumps on top of him, gets a good stun. Absolute Zero gets channel cancelled by Anti, but still good damage onto the Caitlyn, and TG steals it with a big old meat slap. Meanwhile, both top lane and teleport down at the same time. Hummer's in trouble, jumped on by the Renekton, but gets suppressed by Kaigu at the right time. Will still get a kill, falls for his troubles. Exo's looking for a fight. He's being chased by Neo and Remind. They've got to get the heck out of there.
They certainly do. I mean, at the same time, Daisy being a little bit of a nuisance, but they're able to get away. So 2-for-1 trades are actually the first proactive play for Mineski. Comes up trump with a good teleport coming in from Kaigu as well. Definitely adds more to a gank than Renekton, which is probably why you generally play Warwick jungle.
Yeah, generally why we play Warwick jungle, I guess. Yeah, no.
Who plays Warwick jungle?
I mean, if you're going to play him fish, you play him jungle.
Definitely not 80 carry or top lane. No, I think that it definitely is signs of life from Mineski. We said that if they want to do anything productive this game, it was going to be early and it had to be, you know, those aggressive movements. We saw EXO actually with a nice little 2v1 as he floated down river, which, you know, stopped any follow-up from Unsold Gaming. Had to burst his ultimate, but he did, you know, almost kill Neo in the process, just off camera before.
And slowed them down, I think, is a big thing, right? If you're able to get there as a 1 quicker than the 2-man unit, that just means that already the early kill onto Caitlyn means all that much more. So, yeah, hats off to EXO. He needs to have a big game. He's currently even in farm and doing quite well.
Topside Matt Kaigo is going to get ganked by Neo. Flashes away early, still gets locked down, pops the fear, knocks Upperman back, but he's still looking for a fight. Healing up quite a lot here. Kaigo still takes so much damage, wants to try and turn this one around, just can't quite, but does deter Upperman and Neo from chasing any further forward.
But there's no teleport now, no presence on the top side of the map. You can see that Nunu's taking a second dragon. If it's a fire, you could argue the 2 fire drakes at this stage of the game may be worth giving up first brick, but you expect it to go down, and it's air. Definitely not worth.
Not great, but LJL still 2,000 gold ahead.
They're about to be 3,000 as well.
And with a turret falling top side of the map, not looking good for the Mineski squad. They do have 2 elemental dragons. Let's see if they can put them to use. Bard and Nunu are trying to collapse behind the Caitlyn and Blitzcrank, but no real way to dive this lane at the moment.
I mean, you can throw the ulti and get them in there as Magical Journey. Syndra can rotate first as well because she burnt the ult out. So you can see that they are going to make the play work, Fish.
Let's see what they do. Remind was forced back to base by Exo, who does not have his ultimate, so instead just going to push Caitlyn and Blitzcrank off the turret. That's a very patient play coming out from Unsold Stuff Gaming.
Certainly is. I mean, they're just going to trade half of the map. Wonder if we even see the lane swap come in here now, Josh, because you can see that they have backed very far away. They can have an early shop and therefore get some tempo. Actually re-approaching. I think that's the wrong call, cancelling that recall.
Yeah, interesting.
Tempered Fate being thrown... we're not watching that. We're watching Blue Buff instead.
Also exciting. Blue Buff waddling around incredibly slowly. But, you know, no, definitely interesting. I think that, you know, because Apperman was contesting that Blue Buff, you know, maybe they don't want to swap out of the lanes just yet and move away from top side, bot side. But yet, Kaigu really wants to be in that top lane right now, catching up in farm. We see a little engaged mid lane though.
Yeah, Remind trying to force this one against Exo. There is a redemption coming in. Exo forced to flash. Remind flashes forward, gets the kill. Zen using his own ultimate, gets jumped up by Neo as well. He might fall for this one as well. Daisy comes in for the slap, but it's a double kill picked up by Remind.
Exhaust Corki is the best champion in the game. Valk's on his head, gets the exhaust out nice and early, picks up the 1v1, continues the fight, able to get 2 kills. And that is just such a good news story for USG at the moment because EXO is all of the carry threat on this team from distance.
You know, and the timing on his exhaust was so clutch as well because he doesn't give EXO any opportunity, you know, to throw that ultimate out and trade kills there. And then, you know, Zen shows up a little bit later. 80 cannon did absolutely no damage. You know, the stun irrelevant, and you know, and he dies too.
That's given LJL 3,000, almost 3,500 gold in the lead over Mineski. Just 14 minutes, 30 seconds into this match. Looking very confident coming to this game. And again, Mineski just doesn't seem like they have a win condition at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm going to really question the Nunu pick now, because what you can see is
Just the
Ivan
Nunu?
well, the Nunu in particular, because Ivan is actually lending more to ganks and is providing similar utility. So what you normally do is you normally run Nunu into an aggressive jungler to shut them down. That isn't going to work against an Ivan, and you can just see that he's infinitely more useful when he does get to these lanes.
Yeah, and he also culminated in a level lead for Neo too. So we have actually seen the lane swap, as you were suggesting before, but not the most orthodox lane swap.
Yeah.
We see
Meanwhile,
someone
Remine's
die
just-
off screen.
Yep, Remine's just got a free kill mid lane. Harechi as well as NT taking a turret for free. No response coming out from Mineski. The rest of Unsold Stuff Gaming are going to try and take mid lane turret. Finally, a Bardot will hit an actual turret and not miss it by a couple of centimeters.
Hey, he's not even here to defend himself. You take that back. Cupcake played his life out.
Rest in peace, OPL.
I'm all for, all right, kill. Let's talk about it later. I'm all for BM, but they have to at least be on Summoner's Rift while you're doing it, Fish.
I mean, tell that to Blinky.
You know they're watching too, so that they can hear us. But yeah, and we do see the replay coming through. Obviously sitting on his package timing and has Apperman floating down too. So dodges the stun, maybe a little bit of misplay from there from Exo, and a pretty consummate kill.
Yeah, I mean, that's just clean play. Remine now has 4 kills out of nowhere and is definitely accelerated towards his big power spike of the game, at least the first one in Sork Boots and Trinity Force. Had to stop for the Hex Drinker, which has delayed him by, that 1,400 gold, but the fact that he's already there at 16 minutes is a good news story.
But you have to think the Hex Drink is what got him here as well. Gives him the outplay potential against Exo, picked up the double kill before the damage came out from Zen as well.
Yeah, and delay is such a relative term, right? Because he does have that Trinity Force now, and he has the boots too on top of the Hex Drinker. So he is in a very pretty position right now.
Let's see what Mineski can do, because...
Oh, got him.
Oh, they managed to get the hook, and another hook! What the heck? Exo just gets bopped up and around. James tries to do something, looking for a trade on Neo. He gets a good heal on himself. Anti slapping him. It's a very slow Blitzcrank, but will still be able to knock up the Nunu. Looking for a second hook, can't quite find it. Unsold Stuff Gaming, coordinating so well.
Sorry to interrupt, Jish. I know you want to get in, but Zen might be dead.
Yeah, it's a one-on-one to kick things off. Valkyrie still gets stunned. Mini stun's going to come through next. Zen almost falling. It jumps up by Kaigu. Big suppress from the Warwick. Shut down, picked up by the Zen 80 carry. But still Unsold Stuff looking for another turret.
Much more exciting than what I was going to talk about. I was just going to say that, there's that cute little interaction coming out of Neo with his brushes. He gives Caitlyn the extra headshots, and he gives Blitzcrank somewhere to hide to throw out these crazy hooks. So, obviously movement around the map in general, but you have to say that Japanese squad from the LJL, they definitely, they definitely took the advantage. They're getting that mid lane turret.
Yeah, they certainly did. I mean, it's a good teleport from Kaigu to make sure that his 80 carry doesn't fall. They get a big shutdown, but at the same time, you're expecting a big cooldown. Upperman is going to just park himself in this bottom lane now. And he has got the level as well as a 50 CS advantage. So the map is looking pretty dire, to be honest. At the same time, you've got to take advantages where you can. So it's a good play to, at least keep them somewhat relevant.
Let's see what they can do next, because still LJL. 5,000 gold in the lead. Mineski, not quite sure what they're going to be able to do at this moment. We know they pulled out an unorthodox team comp, but what is it meant to do? We still haven't seen that from them.
I mean, I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, they can look for cute picks with the Warwick as well as the Bard.
I don't think Mineski know what it's supposed to do, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how many times they've set up this scrim where they lock in the Kennen Warwick top lane 80 carry combo.
Yeah, the ultimate flex.
Throw in the Bard as well as Nunu on top of that.
At least
Just
we
for
knew
good
where
measure.
the Bard was going. I mean, that's a big thing for me. I'd absolutely, I kind of tongue-in-cheek said the Kennen
Baron.
thing just because you have to say it.
They're looking for Baron.
Not yet. It's only 19 minutes into the game. That would have been exciting.
Yeah, let's see if they take it down. They do get Rift Herald, so at least they pick up an objective. But
Teleport
teleports are
coming in.
coming in from the LGL squad. Unsold Stuff flashing over walls. They call out Daisy as well. Looking for a fight. Zen going to try and take the magical journey away. Going to flash as well. Still takes so much damage. Knocked up by Daisy. Good stasis though from TG. Stops him from falling. Redemption was coming to try to look for the kill. Doesn't pick it up. Unsold Stuff still trying to continue forward. Kaigu jumping on top of Upperman, but just fizzles out. And Zen is running halfway across the map as well.
Yeah, in the wrong direction, but he should be relatively safe with that Lightning Rush. So in the end, no kills go across, and it is going to be a Rift Herald picked up by the Nunu team. So certainly controlling at least the neutral objectives. Also drew them off the Dragon.
Yeah, so definitely the only thing that you know, James' Nunu has offered thus far is that the two dragons he's kept control of, as well as the Rift Herald. And he has, I want to say, misclicked.
Nah, you send it up top lane while running bottom lane. That what are you doing with your trinket in the base at that stage?
You're giving, well, in my opinion, you're giving your opposing team way too much information if you show it that early. They have 30 seconds, you know, for it to walk to the lane before it's going to hit the turret.
Do they know, though, which lane it's going to?
It does. It pings up on your minimap, bright, and it's loud and annoying, and it becomes another fight.
Mineski looking for a fight bottom side of the map. Remind actually caught in the wrong place. Stun doesn't connect from next, so that's poor form, and he just flashes over to get back to safety.
Yeah, when you send 4 people down to a lane to be able to execute a gank on the opposite side of the map of the Rift Herald, you have to make that one work, Fish. And unfortunately for Exo, misexecution means that just the flash and the exhaust expended, but saves his life, and the Rift Herald now is going to be for naught.
And
when I say naught, I don't mean Nautilus, I mean for 0. Just a clarification.
The Crocodile will happily defend against that one on the top side of the map. Kaigo doesn't get anything out of it either. Mineski now barreling towards this Ocean Dragon.
Yeah, and you know, Appleman floating down a little bit, just getting a bit of vision control for himself, making sure that there's nothing that can come his way back before going back to bully this lane out. And you know, that's just really been the story of this lane thus far. Is he's sitting on now, you know, 50 CS lead, just under, and you know he's going to base. And once he picks up that, I guess that next item, you know, you have to think he's going to be a pretty hard tank to deal with.
Especially given the fact that he has gone the tanky route. I mean, when you're winning a lane this hard in like bully status, when you haven't gone your like Tiamat and your greedy build, he can stay relevant with only 1 damage item. It's kind of even better for the team fights if this is what it breaks out too early, because he's going to be so much tankier at this stage of the game. And they have got enough damage threat out of Caitlyn and Corki, 2 of the best scaling AD carries in the game. Have all the pick potential that's going to come out of Ivan as well as Blitzcrank. Takes a trip to the top lane, instant transmission. You can see this 1-3-1 that has been utilized with Corki all of this Rift Rivals tournament has come back out.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's definitely been a strong strategy for most teams that have employed it, and it's definitely looking to be quite strong here too.
Let's see what they can do on the flip side for Mineski, because again, 5,000 gold down against Unsold Stuff. Not a place you want to be. Unsold Stuff are a great team from the LGL, currently sitting as their 3rd seed, only dropping games to Rampage as well as Detonation Focus Meter. 3 teams from the LGL are just so close together.
But they have to keep side over this Baron. I mean, the last drawing card really of this comp, apart from going incredibly late, is a pick immediately into Baron.
Ooh. That actually spots out Zen. Horechi.
He's maybe dead.
Gets a couple of shots in towards him. Anti looking for the chase. Good stun coming out from good old Bardo.
That actually saved his life, that stun, because at that same time, Anti had flash as well as hook available. Would have been able to set that one up. And they were looking for the pick onto Horechi to try... Ooh, big fight.
Yeah, fight bottom lane. Kaigo going to try and out-sustain Upperman here. Does get the fear, but Upperman's so strong. Forced to flash away. Kaigo chases forward. Does get a bit of a heal, but look, he's so fast. Jumps on top of him and gets the kill.
And that's the thing about Warwick. No one really knows how much it takes to kill him, because you're just not used to 1v1ing the man.
And now, you know, the pick makes a little bit more sense. You know, if they can predict that maybe Upperman goes back towards... Well, he hasn't actually shown the Renekton, but, you know, definitely a strong champion within the meta. And they pick it early thinking that this is a potential flex we can look out for. Not a bad decision.
Generally, when one side of your 1 collapses in a 1-3-1 as well, you lose pressure on elsewhere on the map. You can see some cheeky auto attacks going in top lane, and also a full wave shoved in mid as well as pressure bottom.
And, you know, for the first time, I believe, this entire game, Kaigu's now sitting on an experience lead across his team. No, I think TG may have had a little one too, but you know, actually, you know, becoming a possibly relevant factor in this split push.
Let's see what he can do later on down the line, because the only person Unsold Stuff can really send against the Warwick is going to be that Renekton, possibly Corki with the package.
Yeah, I mean, and this becomes one of those hard decisions, because you're like, do I have to really pick up a Mortal Reminder? Like, at the moment, do I have to sit on the Executioner's Calling as Renekton to try and win this 1v1? I mean, how much do you itemize for the split push? How much do you itemize for the team fight? It's definitely not an easy decision to make.
I mean, I think we can make the assumption he's already gone back towards the split push. He's picked up the team out now, not looking to complete his Spectre's Cal into anything. So he is going to have a little bit more damage now, and you know, maybe looking back towards that Titanic Hydra.
Whereas Kaigo is just like, I'm going to be the tankiest person possible, looking towards a Frozen Heart next, it seems.
Yeah, not a bad decision, I guess, against, you know, the double AD carry composition. Not too many other threats elsewhere. The Ivan not being the most threatening jungler. Blitzcrank, obviously has one button and nothing else.
And it kind of hits Corki because even though Corki does a lot of magic damage at the moment, he still goes double deal item generally. Although we might just see a single this game, given the fact that there was a Hex Trinkle weaved into the build. So it does give him a little bit of shutdown even on that mid lane.
Yeah, no, obviously, it's definitely thinking about his item build. Very, very astute purchase at this point, but even if he can win the side lane, I'm not too sure what they're going to do to answer this mid lane push.
Yeah, Unsold Staff looking to push down mid lane to get quite a bit of chip damage onto that turret. Rennington was able to use that time to steal red buff away from Mineski.
And Ping's going down onto the Baron now from Unsold Stuff Gaming, and now they're sitting around there with their vision control and denying the vision in the river. They can look to make a pretty critical pick right now.
Yeah, exactly
they got Blitzcrank.
Going for.
Let's see if they get it. They throw out Tempered Fate at the Baron buff.
I mean, you still have to check, right? Even if the Tempered Fate hits and said they're not doing that, as soon as they push up this mid lane again, push out top lane, they can just go straight back, and eventually you have to face check. You got a blue trinket, you got a Tempered Fate. They're both on pretty long cooldowns.
Even Upperman's not showing. He's going back to base.
Still sitting on the blue trinket now as they float back towards the Baron.
They've warded inside and outside of the pit as well with those control wards, so you can see that they're very serious about this.
And now, Hammer's actually running in with his face to check it. So, not punished here with the Blitzcrank hook. Obviously, everyone electing to go back to base now. Looking to pick up some items, I guess. Maybe sitting just on the cusp of some pretty important spikes. But yeah, no, this could be, I guess, the game changers. How Unsold Stuff Gaming elect to make this Baron, become a really quite a threat.
Very patient from Unsold Stuff Gaming. 5,000 gold in the lead.
Another person is backed on a Kershus shard. It's just, I didn't realize it was a big power spike until this tournament, because another mid laner has said, I've got that 400, 500 gold to upgrade to Kershus shard, or whatever the heck that weird dagger is called. And I'm going to hop back to base and pick that one up.
Yeah, no, maybe just getting off the map, to not become a pick opportunity, resetting in time with his team just so they're coming back up on the map to exert pressure, at the same time on their waves. But yeah, no, definitely interesting. Also interesting, I think, is the build we're seeing out of Apperman. He's gone for the Adaptive Helm.
Ooh.
So maybe he has...
suppression count as an ability or as an auto attack? Because I think it's an auto attack, so
I feel
it
like,
really hurts.
Ooh,
he slapped you a few times.
I feel like that's going to be an ability since the changes. Used to be an auto attack. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to check in with that one. But does work against Syndra and Kennen. Meanwhile, speaking of Kennen, almost gets hooked up by NT. Big shield's coming out. They try to turn around the fight. Daisy's been called upon as well. Zen charging into the backline to the top of Remind. He wants to go for this one-on-one. Forces Remind to flash, but he's on top of TG. Gets a good kill. Ultimate for Syndra does next to no damage to this Corki. And still Unsold Stuff going back to front in this team fight. Kaigo's the first to fall. They will get a return kill onto the Rector, but good hook lands onto Nunu. Zen and Exo still trying to charge on down. Low health bars for the rest of Unsold Stuff, but they trade 1 for 3.
Yeah, exactly right. Good team fight coming through from old Unsold Stuff just because of the range advantage. You can see Corki sitting back with the rockets. Horechi also had free auto attack from one of the brushes and was relatively unharassed in that fight. Didn't even have to burn flash, so a good result. Don't really get an objective off it because of how low the health bars were, but you have to think if that is a recurrent trend, that if the team fights continue to deteriorate, then it's only a matter of time before they pick up something like a Baron.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, actually a fairly good fight, across the board from all the carries. Everyone's still staying alive, almost everyone having their flashes still up. But that Syndra damage from Exo was just very underwhelming, and I guess, sitting at the 2 items now, Syndra needs to be doing more. So if you, getting into this fight, we're going to see them start with the missed hook, which is a very critical, I guess, error from the side of USG. And it gives Mineski an opportunity to engage. Zen jumps on top of Remind, gets chunked out, and then we see Exo start coming in now, and just maybe 100...
Threw it into Neo as well. I mean, I feel like that's just an outright misclick, because Neo's sitting on the Locket, and Locket doesn't give your teammates any magic resistance anymore, but it does give you some. And you can see that the team fight continues. And I feel like if that was an ultimate onto Remind, it would have really chunked him out.
So I actually thought it was on Remind and was like, why did that do no damage?
Yep, I thought the exact same thing. Big hook coming up from NT. Forces the flash from TG.
Yeah, unfortunately with Magical Journey, you know where they're coming out. So just lets the Blitzcrank sit there and wait for the hook to come through.
Gets to line up that skill shot nice and easy. So, you know, a bit telegraphed where your end location will be.
Warwick's doing Dragon solo. Doesn't have teleport available.
That comes out of Remind.
Actually goes back, so all of a sudden, this is just Baron. I mean, whilst Kennen was able to base and get a big shot in for Frozen Mallet, they have a Warwick bottom lane trying to solo out a Dragon, and they have a Kennen in base. They're not even turning around to hit anyone.
Oh, Nuna's going to try and come in for the steal, but look at that. Easily picked up by Unsold Staff, and Hammer's going to pay for that one. Extra gets hooked into the team as well. He's the next to fall. Anti takes that. Big root comes out as well. They kill the Kennen. That's 3. They're still chasing down the rest, but Unsold Staff, what the heck is going on? They just walk all over Mineski.
I mean, Mineski just make an error. Kaigu on the bottom lane is, I'm saying he can't show, so I have to do something that's a little bit useful. I don't want to group and, you know, share experience, share farm. But at the same time, if Zen is going to base, you need the rest of the members to be around the objective, and they just weren't there.
And you just have to respect how much Baron damage, you know, this Unsold Stuff Gaming roster is going to be doing at this point. You know, everyone's getting their like three, 4 items area. And, you know, double AD carry is just going to shred through it. You know, a little bit disrespectful, and they get punished for it very hard. Herechi having a very nice team fight, you know, with that trap placement, crossing off the path for anyone to escape. NT landing a pretty clean hook onto EXO. You know, just incredibly one-sided, you know, past this early game.
I mean, we've seen some sloppy games and very scrappy games as well, but this is just very poor play from Mineski.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the fact that Neo's gone back and picked himself up.
A Magi's.
Yeah, I like that. That's a statement. I only get to play one game today, and I'm going to win it, and I'm going to win it with a Magi's. First international tournament, if you don't mind. Give me the Soul Stealer.
Interesting,
It's got
I
9
guess,
stacks, goodness sake.
lane assignments now. So we mentioned that the Kennen actually does have a pretty good matchup into Renekton just due to that auto attack range buffering. You know, you can stay out of the slice and dice range. And if you get into any serious trouble, Lightning Rush and his ultimate will keep him out. But, you know, not going to be a match for the 3 members of Unsold Stuff Gaming running through that turret.
Yeah, well, as soon as they bring the Caitlyn and the Ivan, that kind of just goes out the window. And you can see that with the trap line coming down, with the fact that they have brushes and no one can really match.
Kaiger's still top lane. His teleport's only just coming back up.
I mean, there's not much he can do as a Warwick, really. Unless you're going to engage on the team fight, he doesn't really help.
Zen wants to fight Remind. Remind reminds him why you shouldn't be fighting him.
Very big crit just there. Warning Zen to get the hell out of mid lane.
And Unsold Stuff just march down bottom lane. You just look at Mineski. There's nothing that he can do. The only wave clear is going to be Syndra.
Good ulti.
Lands on 1. Hook lands on the TG. Absolute Zero being channeled doesn't do too much. Remind already in the back lines on top of EXO. Doesn't get the kill. Shutdown coming up for Syndra. Neo's now in some trouble. Herechi has to put up a good fight. Already taken out Kaigu. EXO low, force back. Hook goes wide, but Upperman stuns up the Kennen. That's a double kill for Kennen. James is going to fall shortly after. Herechi wants to continue chasing forward. EXO comes back out from the fountain, forcing Unsold Stuff back a little bit, but they do get the inhibitor.
Yeah, and in the end, it is going to be a 3 for 2, but it is only TG and EXO remaining. We'll see whether the teleport comes out of Upperman and whether they want to end this game.
Yeah, it seems like it because they've got Baron buff. They're going to teleport in. That's cute coming out from EXO. That
stops the teleport?
Cancelled the teleport.
And his own team is hitting with the question mark ping. Resounding in base.
I didn't know that
maybe,
interaction.
Oh, no, maybe he thought he was going to get thrown into the fountain. Maybe he thought that he was going to pick up the creep, toss it into the fountain. He was like, you know what, guys? I really don't want to teleport there.
Game-changing W from EXO. Don't think he went into this matchup thinking, I'm going to, W a teleport him into my own fountain to change the outcome, but, well, to delay the outcome potentially. Yeah. But, actually not the cleanest of team fights from the LJL squad. So we saw a bit of split focus from Remind and Herechi. Remind getting deep into that backline and actually not being able to punish EXO. But, I mean, if you look at this gold lead, there was really very slim chances that Mineski were going to come out ahead of that.
Completely agree, and what we were actually looking at as well was the fact that I think EXO lived on sub 100 health, which is like half an auto attack at this stage of the game. So you went in 1v3, you went for the hero play, and once again, they would be enjoying this game so far, Unsold Stuff Gaming, because first international tournament being able to show up this well would be a very proud moment for the LJL squad. And they got their region off to the right foot. So no reason to not, you don't want to play with your food, but you can make a couple of plays.
Yeah, but they also probably are a little bit hungry now as well. Coming in as the 3rd seed, they're probably feeling, can we take these 2nd and 1st teams on? And, I think that this is going to reinvigorate them a little bit when they head back to the LJL. To push for that upper limit of that, their league, maybe wanting to come across for the World Play-ins and make more of a punch on the international stage.
And we know the top 3 teams in the LGL are very close, so we could definitely see Unsold stuff again.
Oh, got both 80 carries.
Coming out from Mineski. They're going to try and charge on forward, but Reminder Nexo already out of the stasis. Zen's going to get tagged up. Harechi going to go deep into the back line soon. Already picked up one with the help of Remind. And Unsold stuff just barreled on forward. Daisy will finally fall. Upperman's perfectly fine. And again, a botched initiation from Mineski.
And look how aware Harechi and Reminder are. As soon as Syndra starts navigating that team fight, they are dodging out of all of the stun placement. They just got such good heads-up awareness of not only who they're hitting, but who the threats are on the other team.
Oh, as you say that, Remind takes quite a bit of damage.
Fine, mate.
Taking off a turret. Harechi still chipping away. As you mentioned, he's fine. He'll heal back up quite nicely with these auto attacks. Did get the lifeline proc from Asex Tranquil.
Yeah, and almost just waiting for this bottom wave to push into the Nexus turrets. As we're seeing on the screen now, they can just flirt in the range of danger here. And now they're going to go for this turret, I believe.
NT charging on forward at Blitzcrank really quickly, trying to get a big hook off. Won't connect, but they get the inhibitor turret. Inhibitor falls shortly after.
Yeah, and I mean, there's 2 reasons you throw hooks. One's to actually grab someone, one's to just zone people away. Susie marches forward. Teleport actually coming in. That's a Warwick. That's very strange angles, Fish. It's not probably going to be all that useful.
Has nothing to work with, when was his team getting him, the perfect flank ward at that point?
He goes real quick.
Whoa. All right.
He's not stopping. Temper Fate comes out, separates Neo. Warwick's gone for a
They
flank.
have to go there. So far out now. Creep's already on their base turrets.
They've still got 5 minutes on some stuff here. Kaigu trying to get into the back lines. Hummus and Zen taking a bit of damage. Good double lock coming up in Exo, but he gets hooked into the team. Force the flash away. Hummus charging the ultimate, incredibly low. Zen and Hummus both low. Ultimate comes out. Ace in the hole, connects, doesn't get a kill. But look at the base. The base is dying during this time. Kaigu and Exo trying to go 2-on-3. They get 2 kills. Exo gets the shutdown. Can he take down Neo as well? Doesn't have to. Kaigu wants to do it for him.
And Appman's TPing right now to the base.
Kaigu going to be able to pick up a kill. Remind in some trouble, trying to Valk on top of TG's head. Flashes over the wall, can't quite get him. And Kaigu's still chasing further forward. But as you mentioned, Upperman's in the base. He goes on a killing spree. This crocodile is unstoppable at the moment. We'll take the final inhibitor somewhere across the map. Reminds me how to outplay Kaigu. Renexa's got a shutdown. What the heck is going on? I believe this is going to be game for Unsold stuff. Hummus is going to try and defend this one, but there's just too many creeps. Upperman just going to hit the Nexus over and over and over again, and it puts the LGL up 1-0.
What a funny end to that game. They go for the desperation team fight. It takes too long. It looks like they were going to win it, but then they have to start basing. Corky just way too big. Remind turns around a double kill. And Upperman in the base just 1v3s.
Yeah, you can almost imagine the thought process of Appman going through. He had that earlier TP cancel, and he wants to kite out the back of the fight, gets his base off, and you know he's blaring in the speakers of his teammates going, get out, delay bases, let me end. And, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, and I want to think with the skin he used on Renix and that he was just chanting there, this one's for O's, this one's for O's, is hitting the Nexus hopefully. But as we mentioned, on a serious note, LGL are now 1-0 up. So they can take the next 2 games. They're going to force a 3-0 victory in Rift Rivals.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be looking to do it. I think that was the best showing that we've seen out of Mineski. So hats off to them. I mean, the game went for a while. They were able to control neutral objectives at least early. Looked like they were going to, at some points of that game, be able to get some good picks and maybe transition towards, potentially a Baron. But unfortunately, that was the only way they really won the game. And they fell behind 5,000 gold, and it still wasn't it wasn't a good game by any standard. But I think as far as it goes, they have to take that over everything else they've delivered so far.
For such a one-sided matchup, you have to sort of say that they played pretty well. They had their very defined strategy, and they had a plan. Don't know how great that plan was heading in.
It was a bad plan.
I mean, yeah, it was.
What's their plan? We saw their picks. What were they trying to achieve?
I honestly think what they were trying to achieve, when you have Cannon 80 carry, who goes Frozen Mallet, that wants a side lane. You got Warwick, who's going to be very hard to deal with in a side lane. You get a pick with Warwick or, with the Bard through the Tempered Fate. You get a Baron at 25, 30 minutes into the game, and you just go into 1-3-1 and try and crush down lanes. I mean, it's not a great plan because, unfortunately, what they didn't think is, how do we actually get to that point in the game even? But I think that was, the overall consensus of what they were going for, Fish?
Well, it didn't work out. Unsold Stuff, on the other hand, playing pretty standard, maybe barring the Ivan pick, and did perfectly fine against everything Mineski
I mean, is Ivan really not standard when they're banned Lee Sin, Italy, Gragas, picked away your Warwick as a first pick? I mean,
where was
as
the
far
Rek'Sai?
as Zach's already gone, I mean, oh yeah, true. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's like, there's only so far you can go. Maybe he's not a Rek'Sai player.
I mean, maybe not. He hasn't shown it this tournament thus far. You know, he'd only shown us the Warwick. Clearly has a deeper champion pool. You know, Mineski doing scouting, knowing what he can play and what he could pull out. But they're not the champions we saw.
No, certainly not. That's why it disappeared really quickly.
That looked far too normal. So yeah, we'll get them up in a second. But you know, definitely a pretty exciting game, I guess. Even if it was probably a little bit one-sided, you know, as we kind of expected. But you know, definitely some interesting signs of life from Mineski. You know, and they have to walk away from this knowing taking something back, you know, to their home region and working out, you know, what their next steps are.
Yeah, and they have to take a lot back because currently Mineski in their local league in the Philippines, not even top 2 right now. So they're struggling to try and even qualify back into the GPL. So hopefully this international experience taught them something.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, I think what it showed us is that if you're a consistently classy team, someone like USG or, you know, DFM, and DFM's a very good example because they've always been top 1, top 2 in their league, that you carry that over. Whereas when you're like a flash in a pan like Mineski, it is very hard to go to these tournaments and perform well. And one tournament isn't enough to make you into like a fantastic team. You need those repeat appearances. So hopefully the young players now have it, and the veterans have been an additional time internationally, and that is what turns it around for them.
And Unsold Stuff, you'd have to think that their journey's not done yet. Yes, they're not going to play any more games today, but we know that the Japanese teams are working so well together at the moment. They're going to go backstage. They're going to try and talk up the Dead Focus Me. They're going to talk to Rampage a bit and get them ready for their next matches for sure.
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. We've already said that their top 3 seeds look relatively good. They want Rampage or Dead FM or themselves, whoever goes further now, to actually start making it out of groups so Japan gets that second. Because if your top 3 teams are that close, now you want to start doing it for the region as a whole and start showing that your teams are good enough to compete internationally. Not just your best team like the Gigabyte Marines, but all the teams around it. So when you get out of groups and play-ins and you're the one securing those seeds when it's going into the Worlds and the MSI tournaments, that's when it starts feeling fantastic for one of these teams. Hasn't happened yet. Brazil's tried to get close. Gigabyte Marines tried to get close, but maybe eventually that's what one of these teams from the LJL will be able to do.
Yeah, and you know, and we've sort of said that the LJL is a smaller, younger, and maybe potentially weaker region. You know, not having great showings in the past, but they're definitely showing. You know, as this region versus region tournament suggests that they have some depth to their talent, I guess. Yep. And you know, with these Korean imports like Tussle and like Steel, like we're seeing a lot of investment into their scene. And you know, and they're looking forward to the Worlds play and being like, can we get those 2 slots?
Well, they're currently 1-0 up against the GPL region. We're going to go to a quick break. We'll be back with game number 2. It's going to be Destination Focus Me taking on Ascension. Force this one against EXO. There is a redemption coming in. EXO forced to flash. Remind flashes forward, gets the kill. Zen using his own ultimate, gets jumped off by Neo as well. He might fall for this one as well. Daisy comes in for the slap, but it's a double kill picked up by Remind. Hama's going to pay for that one. EXO gets hooked into the team as well. He's the next to fall. Anti takes that big root, comes out as well. They kill the cannon. That's 3. They're still chasing down the rest, but Unsold Stuff, what the heck is going on? Remind already in the back lines on top of EXO. Doesn't get the kill. Shutdown coming up for Syndra. Neo's now in some trouble. Herechi has to put up a good fight. Already taken down Kaigu. EXO low, force back. Hook goes wide, but Upman stuns up the cannon. That's a double kill for cannon. Hammers is going to fall shortly after. Herechi wants to continue chasing forward. EXO comes back out from the fountain, forcing Unsold Stuff back a little bit, but they do get the inhibitor. Yep. Coming out from Mineski. They're going to try and charge on forward, but Remind and EXO already out of the stasis. Zen's going to get tagged up. Herechi going to go deep into the back line soon. Already picked up one with the help of Remind, and Unsold Stuff just barreled on forward. Tiger trying to get into the back lines. Hummus and Zen taking a bit of damage. Good double lock coming up in EXO, but he gets hooked into the team. Force the flash away. Hummus charging the ultimate, incredibly low. Zen and Hummus both low. Ultimate comes out. Ace in the hole, connects, doesn't get a kill. But look at the base. The base is dying during this time. Kaigu and EXO trying to go 2-on-3. They get 2 kills. EXO gets the shutdown. Can he take down Neo as well? Doesn't have to. Kaigu wants to do it for him.
And Afman's TPing right now for base.
Kiego going to be able to pick up a kill. Remind in some trouble, trying to Falcon on top of TG's head. Flashes over the wall, can't quite get him, and Kaigo's still chasing further forward. But as you mentioned, Upman's in the base. He goes on a killing spree. This crocodile is unstoppable at the moment. We'll take the final inhibitor somewhere across the map. Reminds me how to outplay Kaigu. Renekton's got a shutdown. What the heck is going on? I believe this is going to be game for Unsold Stuff. Hammers is going to try and defend this one, but it's just too many creeps. Upperman just going to hit the Nexus over and over and over again, and it puts the LGL up 1-0.